Happy Christmas everyone and good morning, it's Joe here from Living to Learn. I say good morning, it's about 12 o'clock here. I'm in Stockholm, in Sweden, in the land of Moras and Grand Force. And I just thought I'd pop out for a bit of coffee, my family's at home. Chilling out. I thought I'd have a kind of a relaxed chat about some of the questions I've been getting in regards to my last video, the Bantam Gate video. And it got a good reception. It was well received, which I'm delighted about. It seems to be a good place, where a good community that we're building up. But people came across with arguments, and that's cool too. That's what it's all about. People dropped me some PMs and wanted to have some discussions, and I'm down with that. I love me a good discussion. So I thought I'd pop on, and I took note of the questions. Here, look lads, I'm going to smoke, I don't care. Took note of these questions, and I thought I'd kind of answer them all in one kind of lump sum. And I'm not saying my answer is right, I'm just personally going to give my answers in this medium while my coffee is boiling. So the first question that I came across most was the pioneer question. The pioneers didn't do it. No, they didn't. And that's a fact. You know what I mean? You know, well, we've no historical evidence to date as of yet that they did. But at the same time, the pioneers are called the pioneers because they were pioneers. You know, if you read Nesmuk and Kephardt's books, or even listen to their audio books, they didn't do what the people of their time did either. They were always out in the woods, improving kit, exploring. I mean, that's why we have the Nesmuk trio, we have the Nesmuk tent, we have the Baker tent and wheeling leans, because people were out moving forward all the time. Now, this argument with the pioneers, it often comes up with primitive skills. I ain't dissing primitive skills, I ain't dissing primitive technology and primitive ways, and people who like to do it. I love my oilskin bags, I love my burn bowls, and next year now I'm going to get into primitive fire making and bow drills and stuff like that, and I can't wait. I personally think those skills and ideologies help us all improve, standing on the shoulders of giants. But to turn around and say that the pioneers didn't do it and poo-poo an argument, it's just ridiculous in my eyes. Because I mean, the pioneers had things that we don't have. You know, they had canoes, they had pack mules, they had unpaid camp helpers. I don't personally have an unpaid camp helper, and I hope I never do. But they were doing different things. They were doing different things at the time. They, like for example, I'm more of a hike and camp kind of guy. I like to walk in the woods for about 2 hours, 3 hours, sit down, have a spot of lunch like I'm doing now, maybe work on a project and stuff like that. So to walk around with a 9 foot by 9 foot oil canvas tarp in a canvas and leather and brass bag with no pack frame support is just kind of asking too much for me. It just makes life too hard. I'd rather throw my sil nylon tarp in, my little gas cooker, into my 30 litre framed bag and have a comfortable, nice, enjoyable hike. So the pioneer question is kind of redundant. You know, sure, like even look at Nesmuk. I mean, Nesmuk came up with his double-bitted belt axe because there wasn't one on the market. He didn't want to carry around a 4-pound felling axe either. Now, he may have it in his canoe or in his pack mule, but when he was out on hikes and scouts, there wasn't something on the market, so he went to a local blacksmith. I think Bushnell was the name of the blacksmith, because no other maker would touch it. They all just laughed at him and his stupid idea for meshing two axes together. But he was a pioneer. He tried something different and he went on to do it. And then, you know, it wasn't a one-tool option. He had his Nesmuk trio, but the one-tool option is kind of a modern thing. And again, Nesmuk was of a different school and Kephardt was of a different school of bushcraft. This is the second question that I think people get confused with. I have Europeans on one side telling me, why the hell do you need a 6-inch 5mm knife in the woods. And then I got Americans on this side of the pond saying, how can you go out to the woods with just a 3-inch neck knife? You know? And it's because there's two different schools that bushcraft has kind of branched off, and I'm glad it did. It makes it a wide and varied hobby, and I like to try a little of everything. Like, for example, today I'm on a day hike. I only have my little mower with me. I already have my little mower with me because I'm in a local wood. I'm out practicing navigational skills. I don't tend to start a fire or do anything like that, and that's the difference. The European school of bushcraft, your Lars Felt, your Morris Kahansky, your people of that ilk, the woods are a playground. You go off your day hike and you have yourself a spot of lunch. You look at the transit system, look at the tools that have evolved in the countries that they come from. Like the Swedes, personally, they love going out into the woods and having a spot of lunch, exploring nature, day hikes, but most of them jump in their cars and go home at the end of the day. Whereas the American school of bushcraft is based from the pioneers, from the days of the long hunters, who are brave men. And the long hunters would have a base camp where they would have all their heavy equipment, their pack mules and their unpaid help, and then they would go off for long periods at a time with just a haversack, a tomahawk or a belt axe and a knife. And they could get lost, they could get injured, they could do whatever. So the American school of bushcraft has evolved from that tree of being out hunting, getting caught in the woods with your pants down and having to survive an overnight, or having to getting lost in a snowdrift and making it back to camp. Whereas the European model has not evolved from that. The modern European model has not evolved from that. So, and neither is wrong. Both of them are fantastic. Pick and choose what you need from both of them. They're both there to be chosen from. I mean, all the kind of trapping and stuff that the American school has, the figure fours, the peyote deadfalls, they're all Native American pioneering kind of stuff. And then the kind of getting out into nature and just finding a beautiful spot and sitting down and whittling a spoon and catching some fish or canoeing or kayaking in a lake is the European school of bushcraft. And both are perfect. Both are great. Have a foot in either camp. Don't pigeonhole yourself. It's a beautiful hobby and explore it. And that brings me on to kind of the one tool option thing that seems to anger a lot of people. Like, the one tool option came from YouTube. It was a YouTube kind of buzzword with survivalists and the American school of bushcraft. And again, we're remembering now the American school of bushcraft kind of comes from, just having my coffee here, kind of comes from the long hunters and that school of thought. So they wanted knives and tools to be as robust as possible. So you had to carry less. I mean, if you're stalking game over 4 or 5 miles, you don't want a 4-pound felling axe on your back. You want your nice haversack with maybe a robust stout knife and a small pack axe, maybe a backhoe saw, maybe even a bow saw blade. Manufacture one when you're out and about. So people kind of get angry at YouTubers and the American school of one tool options, but I personally love it. Why wouldn't you want your tools to be more robust? I don't know. I mean, but would I carry? I'm not belittling anybody who carries anything into the woods. Whatever you've got and it works for you, that's cool. But I'm just saying, don't be hating on YouTubers and people who are out trying to push these things. You have to take these things with a pinch of salt. Do people get angry at Top Gear when they take a Skoda Octavia and rally it around a race course? And the Skoda Octavia was not meant to be rallied around the race course. But is it a good test of engineering, stress on the engineering? Yes, it is. I personally wouldn't do it to my Skoda Octavia, would I? Would I drive a Ford Transit over a ski jump? No. But it makes for entertaining watching, and it's nice to see what these things can do. So the one tool option thing comes from a different school of bushcraft. If you prescribe to the European school of bushcraft, that's cool. But don't belittle another school of thought. We're all out here just to have fun, to do what we need to do. And that gets me onto the YouTube question. You see, people vote with their dollars when it comes to their tools. Like, if they're like, this goes for the whole knife community in general. People in the knife community are kind of sick of seeing Scandi grinds, and they're sick of seeing leaf-shaped blades. You know what I mean? And I can understand that. For serious collectors, it can be a bit of a pain in the ass having to look at the same type of blade over and over again. But that's the blade that people want. You know, there's a reason why Ray Mears didn't go with a convex grind. Hell, he even says it himself in his blog. You know, go read Ray Mears' blog. Like when they originally designed, when Alan Cox, is it, or Alan Wood, originally designed the wood lore. And I mean, condolences to the family there. He passed away there on the 10th of December. But when he originally invented that knife, not only was it a game changer, but it wasn't originally a Scandi grind. I think it was originally a convex grind, being the best of the best. Now, I could be wrong here, but Ray Mears himself says that he found that people just didn't have the skills to keep a knife like that sharp. So he went with the Scandi grind. Is it the be all and end all? No, but it's what works. It's what works for the common man. It's what works for the recreational knife owner. They can manage it better, and it does most tasks well. And I mean, that's where YouTube comes into play, because 80% of people will go and look on YouTube before they buy anything. So YouTubers need, especially ones that make a living from it, need to draw in the views, and the views is the views. People want to see, like when I was buying my PLSK1, I wanted to see people do crazy things with it to push it as far as it could go, because that was going to be my one tool option. Have I personally thrown it at a tree? No. Have I personally decided to batten 10-inch frozen pieces of oak with it? No. But it's nice to see that it can be done, and learn about the maker and the process, and see how tough these knives really are. Plus, YouTube has the power to change things. Like, before people came along on YouTube and started smacking things and breaking things and throwing knives at trees, makers didn't really up their game. You know, you buy my knife, you do something with it that's not supposed to be done. That's cool, and I can understand that. Who's going to warranty a Bowie knife, a fighting knife, a knife that wasn't designed for the woods, to wail into trees? It makes no sense. Then all of a sudden the bushcraft markets took off, the one tool option took off, people were going out and buying 5mm thick knives with low Scandi grinds. They were the ones that were selling it. If people weren't buying these knives, makers wouldn't make them. And if a maker is lucky enough that he doesn't have to make these knives and he doesn't like those knives, that's cool. But makers gotta make them. Or makers that make them, they sell well. But with the Battengate video, makers got in touch with me, and I'm just a microcosm. I'm just a tiny iota in the scale of YouTube. But after the last Battengate video, makers got in touch with me and said, Joe, here, look, you're right, I make bushcraft knives. I never thought of the one tool option and having to stand over things, and like, people started getting in touch with me saying, I'll tell you what, Joe, I'll warranty my bushcraft knife, I'll do this. And so they're working on that in the new year. People are getting Rockwell testers, and they're up in their game, and that's the power of YouTube and the market and stuff like that. So I never rag on YouTubers. Take it with a pinch of salt. So hopefully that answers some questions. I'm just having a coffee and a rant, you know, a Christmas rant, a New Year rant, getting the stress of this year away from me. So there you go. In summary, Pioneer question doesn't wash. It doesn't wash at all. One tool options are nice, but remember, there's two schools of bushcraft. You know, one is this, and one is that. There's the American and European models, both differ, and don't shy away from either of them. Don't be an extremist and go one end of this and one end of that. Take what you need from both. The European one is great for primitive skills. The American one is great for learning kind of quick fix survival options and woodsman skills and stuff like that. And don't rag on YouTubers. I mean, the bushcraft scene and the bushcraft movement and knife makers and like the hidden woodsman and LT Wright knives and all that, they'd be nothing without YouTube, and they'd be nothing without the reviewers who do the tests on them and push these knives as far as they can go. I mean, I can say an awful lot of people wouldn't own particular makers' knives if they didn't. Oh, and in summary, I'm getting tongue-tied here. I'm watching the sunset. That Davy Crawford now got in touch with me. He was one of the makers that got in touch with me and says that he'll warranty one of his bushcraft knives. Like, he's not going to warranty obviously his bowies or his paring knives or stuff like that, but his knives that are his bushcraft knife that is specifically designed to be a woods knife is now warranted. So if you take it out, you have an accident on the regular batoning, you know, you're not trying to take down a tree or whatever, he's got your back. Go check out his knives at brockknives.com. And then of course there's Brenton Good and Bark River Knives and the Pathfinder Knife Shop and Battle Horse Knives and LT Wright Knives. All these guys stand over their products. Go check them out. And if you get in touch with a maker, ask these questions. But thanks for tuning in again, and have a happy Christmas and a happy New Year. I look forward to next year. It should be good, and I hope to have you all there alongside us all and watching everybody learn and everybody grow on the Living to Learn community page. But Joe out.